I love all kinds of horror comedies, found footagers, blockbusters, DIY SOV indies, experimental art housers, classics, and freshly filmed. But what I really love about horror is when it finds a way to unnerve me. And that's a tough task, given that I've seen quite a shit ton of horror movies through these 13 years of reviewing, and then the years before when I was just a casual watcher. That's why when something comes along that truly unsettles me, I hold it in high regard. Take number 7, Traumatika. Prepare to be traumatized. Traumatika was released on September 12, 2025, and is available on demand from Saban Films. It was directed by Pierre Tsigaridis and written by Maxime Rancon and Pierre Tsigaridis. Traumatika opens very similarly with The Exorcist, as an exhausted man carrying a pagan artifact passes out in the desert, leaving the artifact to be buried under the sands. Sometime later, this artifact falls into the hands of a single father named John, played by Sean O'Brien, who is warned not to open the artifact, and of course, he does so anyway. This sets into motion a series of horrifying events that passes from one person to the next, like the worst kind of plague, leaving horror and destruction in its wake. Traumatika is going to be a hard watch for some. It involves all of the taboos: incest, rape, kidnapping, murder, ritual sacrifice, child death. Nothing is off limits. This is a dag-nasty little movie that packs some extremely horrifying moments. Writer Pierre Tsigaridis was responsible for the October surprise from a few years ago called Two Witches. That film played with timelines, interweaving a number of different stories together into one potent narrative. It also relied heavily on jump scares, but unlike the cat leaping from the window or familiar person sneaking up on the protagonist type, these jump scares actually work and follow through with an image that is too terrifying to believe. Traumatika does the same thing, flipping and flopping from one series of horrors to another. Traumatika begins in the Middle Ages, where an artifact is lost, then moves to the 1990s, where the same artifact has been discovered by some petty thieves, which leads to possession and a series of kidnappings of young children. The film then shunts to the present day, where one of the surviving children must face their own demons. There's a throughway, and that throughway is the intense level of horror going on in each segment, all the way up to the tension-shredding end. I've seen criticism of Traumatika stating that many of the scares have been lifted from other films. While some of that may be true, director-writer Pierre Tsigaridis and his co-writer Maxime Rancon face all of these scares with a raw originality that makes it all their own. Sure, the ghostly figure trick-or-treating might be reminiscent of Michael Myers from the first Halloween movie, or the possessed people may be reminiscent of the Deadites from Evil Dead, but filmed in this kinetic and brutal way, it all feels original. There are scares galore in Traumatika, and any similarity with other films definitely feels more like an homage than anything else. I love the way this film reveals its tale by moving through time, telling a raw and unflinching story of how abuse and trauma are passed down from one generation to the next. While the scares and tension are in your face and gruesome, Traumatika always seems to be treating the trauma in a delicate way, still never flinching at the ugliness of this abuse to its painful max. There are scenes that left me quivering from head to toe. Traumatika's pace is non-stop. You're trapped in a basement running from a demon 1 minute, then stalked by a trick-or-treater from hell the next. This is a film comprised of so many scenes of horror smooshed together that it barely leaves time to catch its breath. The acting is pretty solid, and shrewd eyes will recognize A.J. Bowen as the petrified cop, and the people under the stairs, Sean Whalen, as one of the fencers of the cursed artifact. The true standout, though, is Rebecca Kennedy, who also appeared in Two Witches in one of the segments, and goes through a grotesque gauntlet of horrors again in this one. All in all, the acting is good, though everyone is simply scared shitless the entire time they're on screen. With Two Witches, Pierre Tsigaridis could have been some kind of fluke, getting the scares right in his first film. But with Traumatika, it's made clear that this director is the real deal, offering up a variety of terrifying scenes that range from peak high tension to gutter-wallowing gore and everything in between. Traumatika is going to leave bruises. The tagline to Traumatika is that you don't watch this movie, you survive it. I survived it and loved it, and hope you take a chance on this indie treat, arriving right on time for a Halloween watch. Trauma takes center stage in our worth noting pick this time around as well. It Feeds was released on April 18th, 2025, and is streaming on Hulu from Black Fawn Distribution. It's directed and written by Chad Archibald. Twilight's Ashley Greene plays Cynthia, a psychiatrist who uses her psychic powers to help those with deep-seated and paranormal problems. But when a young girl bursts into her office, claiming to be haunted by a powerful entity, Cynthia is reluctant to help her in fear that this evil entity will be passed to her own family. Cynthia's daughter Jordan, played by Ellie O'Brien, has budding powers of her own and chooses to go against her mother's warnings and help the girl, not knowing the entity's true diabolical intentions. It Feeds really wants to be insidious. So much so that I found myself distracted for most of the film, as it basically feels like a story about a younger version of Lin Shaye's character, Elsie Rayner, from James Wan's popular horror series. Plus a little bit of Vera Farmiga's Elizabeth Warren thrown in there for good measure. I guess if that's the kind of movie you want to do, that's fine, but it was hard to shake the similarity between It Feeds and Insidious and The Conjuring pretty much all the way through. I mean, there's even a jump scare where the demon is looking at the psychic girl from right behind her shoulder, just like that iconic scene in the very first Insidious. That's how similar these two movies are. All that said, I did find myself intrigued by the main characters as they attempt to combat this demon that has attached itself to the little girl. This film was made by Chad Archibald, and that's a name I respect after the slew of quality movies this guy has put out. He directed and wrote potent horrors like I'll Take Your Dead, The Heretics, Bite, and The Drownsman, and produced scores more through his Black Fawn Distribution label. Archibald knows horror, and while this film is very similar to a popular franchise, it still works nevertheless. There are a whole lot of jump scares that work, especially one big one that made me check my trousers that occurs closer to the end. While the blueprint is familiar, Archibald delivers some scenes that are still fresh and terrifying. I'm not going to do a test that It Feeds is the most original film, but it does have potent scares and great performances from leads Greene and O'Brien. There's also a strong turn from Shawn Ashmore as an overly concerned father of one of the possessed girls. Sure, things are very familiar, but It Feeds delivers in scares and thrills, and it's definitely a film worth checking out. As always, feel free to agree, disagree, or how about you play along at home and give me your own picks for your own favorite movies of the year. It's October, so let's talk horror. Come back tomorrow for the next level in the Best in Horror Countdown. Be sure to hit all of those pertinent bells and whistles down below, and you'll never miss a post. Happy Halloween, folks.